Welcome to You Don't Know You Don't Know.
Okay, picture this. It's a Wednesday afternoon, last June. Prague. Discreet black cars are pulling up to the Clarion Congress Hotel.
Right, not your average tourist spot.
Definitely not. This is ISS World, Europe's biggest and most secretive trade show for spy tech. Surveillance gear, spyware, the works.
Yeah, a real shadow market kind of event, full of execs, intel contractors, government types.
And inside there's this small booth, a company called First WAP. Their Austrian sales manager, Gunther Rudolph, he's giving a pitch for a product called ALTAMIDES. Now, the potential client seems interested, asking about tracking activists in Niger who are, threatening some mining interests.
Okay, standard enough for this kind of place, maybe.
Except the client isn't real. It's an undercover journalist from Lighthouse Reports, a setup.
Ah, okay. The plot thickens.
And get this, the sales rep isn't just talking about the tech, which, by the way, can apparently find almost any phone in real time, even hijack WhatsApp. He's already offering a, quote, workaround for export licenses.
Wow. Already bending the rules right out of the gate.
Exactly. So that's our mission today. We're diving deep into First WAP. They're actually one of the oldest players in this cyber surveillance game.
Been around a while then.
Yeah. And we've got this massive data leak, plus the details from that undercover sting to figure out who they're tracking, how they're doing it, and why the very networks connecting us are making us so vulnerable.
And it's a big deal. This investigation involved, 14 media outlets? It's not just about one dodgy company. It's about, 2 decades of selling phone tracking tech across the globe, often to regimes you really wouldn't want having this stuff, and, often seemingly breaking laws left and right.
So First WAP is maybe small to medium size, but the impact is huge.
Definitely punching above their weight in the surveillance world, targeting journalists, executives, dissidents, the list goes on. It seems they've been active since at least 2007.
Okay, let's start with that data leak. That's what really kicked this whole thing off, right? How did it surface?
So spring 2024, an investigator finds this huge data set just sitting there on the deep web.
Just out there.
Yeah. We're talking 1.5 million rows of data, basically a giant spreadsheet, coordinates, timestamps down to the second, and phone numbers, just raw data.
Initially, maybe it looked like test data.
Could have been. But the sheer scale and the phone numbers, they started looking at the country codes.
Oh, and?
Almost everywhere. Netherlands, Brazil, UAE, Russia, Italy, the US, you name it. It was global. A huge red flag.
So how did they go from this giant list of numbers to actual stories, actual people?
Well, the first big breakthrough came from Italy, the +39 country card. They found a number belonging to Gianluigi Nuzzi.
Nuzzi, the Vatican journalist, famous for those big exposés.
That's the one. Investigated financial scandals, corruption inside the Vatican, very high profile.
Okay, so they had his number. What did the timestamp show?
And they showed tracking activity in May 2012.
And the significance of May 2012 is?
It was just days before he published a major book exposing Vatican secrets.
Wow. Okay, so that completely blows up the idea that this is just for catching criminals or terrorists.
Right. It's textbook political use, targeting journalism, likely trying to find his sources or disrupt his work right before publication.
Okay, so journalists are targets. Who else? The leak must have turned up other big names, especially if they looked at who was tracked most often.
Oh, yeah. Some very surprising American names popped up.
Like who?
Like Anwar Chiki, the CEO and co-founder of 23andMe.
Seriously, the genetics company CEO.
Yep. The data showed her phone pinged over 1,500 times in just 2 weeks, all around the San Francisco Bay Area.
1,500 times in 2 weeks. That's intense.
Incredibly granular tracking. And at the time, remember, she was married to Sergey Brin, the Google co-founder.
Okay, that adds a potential motive, maybe corporate espionage or something related to Brin.
It's hard to say for sure why, but the who is startling. And she wasn't alone. The list is kind of wild.
Go on.
You've got Asma al-Assad, wife of the Syrian dictator.
Right.
The vice president of the UAE, who also owns Manchester City Football Club.
Okay, powerful figures.
Then, more randomly it seems, an employee at Airbus and the actor Jared Leto.
Jared Leto, the actor. That seems completely out of left field. What connects Assad's wife, a Gulf royal, a tech CEO's spouse, and Jared Leto?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? It shows the tool isn't just for state security. It could be industrial espionage, tracking business rivals, maybe personal vendettas, or, like you said, maybe Leo was involved in some high-stakes legal thing or crossed paths with someone powerful. We don't know the why for each one.
But the pattern isn't just random celebrities or powerful people. You mentioned political timing.
Yes, that's where it gets really clear. When you look at the timing of the tracking in bulk, you see these huge spikes in surveillance activity right before major events. Like right before elections in Nigeria, big surges, and again, before major protests in Thailand back in 2010 and 2014.
So using it to anticipate or counter political opposition.
Exactly. The data strongly suggests it's deployed strategically for political intelligence and interference, not just fighting crime, as they claim.
And sometimes it seems to go even darker than just tracking.
Definitely. The most chilling example, I think, is the cluster tracking Rwandan dissidents living in exile in South Africa.
Oh?
Specifically, people connected to Patrick Kagaya. He was a major opposition figure. The data shows his bodyguard, his associates, their phones were being tracked by First WAP system in the months just before Kagaya was assassinated in 2014.
So the tool might have directly helped facilitate a political murder.
The implication is certainly there, and it's deeply disturbing. A supposedly legal tool potentially used as an accessory to violence.
Which brings us back to the how.
Yeah.
How is this tracking so invisible? We hear about Pegasus needing malware, clicks on links. But ALTAMIDES, First WAP's main product, you're saying it's different.
Totally different. And that's what makes it so insidious, really. ALTAMIDES doesn't put anything on your phone. No app, no malware, nothing.
So how does it work if it's not on the phone?
It works at the network level. It uses the basic plumbing of the global telephone system itself.
Network level. Okay, break that down for us. What does that mean practically?
Think about how your phone connects to the network when you make a call or use data. There's this underlying system, kind of like the signaling system, that tells the network where you are, how to route the call, stuff like that.
The behind-the-scenes stuff?
Exactly. A key part of this is a protocol called SS7, Signaling System 7. It's ancient, designed back in the 80s.
Okay.
And back then, security wasn't the main concern. The phone companies all sort of trusted each other. SS7 basically has very weak security.
So ALTAMIDES exploits that weakness.
Precisely. It sends queries through the SS7 network, basically asking the network, hey, where is phone number XYZ right now? And the network, assuming the request is legit because it came via SS7, just answers. It gives the location data.
And my phone, it has no idea this query even happened.
None whatsoever. The whole transaction happens between telecom infrastructure, maybe continents away. Your phone just sits there, connected as normal, while its location is being funneled off.
So all the usual advice, update your OS, use a VPN, run security scans, none of that helps against this.
Useless. Completely useless for this kind of tracking. The only way to even know what's happening is if the phone operator, your carrier, digs deep into their own network logs.
Which an average person, or even most companies, can't do.
Almost never. That's the invisibility.
And First WAP built a whole suite of tools around this core SS7 vulnerability, didn't they? It's not just basic location pings.
No, they productized it heavily, different modules for different kinds of tracking.
Tell us about those. What can ALTAMIDES actually do?
Well, for location, you've got things like rapid trags. That's for getting a quick real-time fix on a target. Then there's OMNI-TreeX, which builds up a historical picture. Where has this person been over days, weeks, months?
Creating a pattern of life.
Exactly. Then they have zone tracks. That's geofencing. You draw a virtual box on a map, say, around a rival's office or a journalist's home, and the system alerts you whenever the target's phone enters or leaves that zone.
Okay, geofencing is common. But what about tracking if people are meeting each other? That sounds trickier without device access.
That's where Proxima-TreeX comes in. If they're tracking multiple targets, say, known associates, this module can apparently detect when two or more of those tracked phones come close together.
So it can flag potential meetings, even if they happen in secret.
That's the idea. By correlating the location data of multiple targets, it tries to infer meetings, turning location dots into potential intelligence about who's talking to whom.
It goes beyond just tracking, right? You mentioned deception earlier.
Yeah, the DISI module. Target disinformation and deception. This suggests they can use their network access to send spoofed SMS messages.
Like fake texts that look like they came from someone else.
Potentially, yes. Or social engineering texts designed to trick the target into revealing information or taking some action. It moves from passive spying to active manipulation.
And wasn't there another one? Something about disruption.
Yeah, Jam-TreeX. They claimed it could disrupt calls or SMS messages to a target, basically a denial of service attack on their phone.
So locating, tracking history, geofencing, detecting meetings, sending fake messages, potentially even jamming the phone, all done silently through the network.
It's a pretty comprehensive suite for surveillance and interference, all exploiting that core SS7 weakness. And using telecom network data like this without authorization raises huge legal alarms, wiretapping laws, telecom regulations.
Which brings us back full circle to Prague, to that undercover sting. Because here are the execs selling this incredibly powerful, legally dubious tech. How far were they willing to go?
So the journalists set up their cover, Albert from a research firm, Mr. Abdu, the West African contact, needing to track those mining protesters.
And the sales guy, Rudolph, his first pitch already hinted at ignoring rules, right? He asked if they wanted to know who the person was or just track them.
Yeah, that was the moment the reporter said their jaw dropped. It immediately suggested a willingness to skip any legal ID checks and just provide raw tracking.
But they needed something more concrete. Proof of intent to break major laws.
Exactly. So they went back on day 2, upped the ante. They laid out a new scenario. Okay, they said, we have this client, but this client is on an international sanctions list.
Oh, boy. Red flag right there.
Huge red flag. And, they continued, this sanctioned client wants to use ALTAMIDES to track the people in the U.S. who put them on the sanctions list.
Whoa, okay, that's multiple lines crossed. Tracking U.S. citizens. For a sanctioned entity, that's serious jail time territory. Any legitimate company walks away instantly.
You'd think so, but First Swap didn't walk away.
What do they do?
The executive, Rudolph, according to the reporting, immediately started brainstorming a way to do the deal while avoiding personal risk. He was worried about himself, an Austrian citizen, ending up in prison.
So not, we can't do this, but how do I not get caught doing this?
Pretty much. He apparently laid out a plan.
What was the plan? How do you sell surveillance tech to a sanctioned person to track Americans and supposedly get away with it?
The workaround involved routing the money and the contract through a third country, Indonesia, was mentioned.
Laundering the deal, basically.
Seems like it. And crucially, he suggested having their Indian general manager sign the risky paperwork. The explicit idea was to shift the legal liability onto an employee in a different jurisdiction, someone less likely to face, say, Austrian or EU prosecution.
Let the Indian manager take the fall if it goes bad.
That was the reported implication. As long as the money flowed from the undercover front company, not directly from the sanctioned individual, he seemed to think he could maintain plausible deniability.
That's stunning. It's not just negligence. It's calculated deliberate intent to violate sanctions and facilitate hostile tracking against U.S. citizens.
It really exposes the mindset. Profit over absolutely everything else. They weren't just selling a tool. They were offering consulting services on how to commit international crimes with it. A total failure of any kind of ethical or legal governance.
It shows the regulatory system is failing, right? These companies are just operating in the shadows.
Completely. Operating in what they probably see as gray zones, but in this case, veering way into the criminal black zone.
So this whole investigation, yeah, it's about First WAP, but it really points to a bigger failure, doesn't it? Governments, and especially the telecom companies, they've known about SS7 vulnerabilities for years.
For decades, actually, and that's the crucial point. First WAP is just a symptom. The underlying disease is the insecurity of the global telecom infrastructure itself.
Why hasn't it been fixed if it's so vulnerable?
It's incredibly complex and expensive. SS7 is baked into the foundation of networks worldwide. Fixing it requires massive investment and coordination across hundreds of competing companies and countries.
Too big, too slow, too expensive to fix easily.
Basically, yes. There's just massive inertia. And so these vulnerabilities persist, leaving the door wide open for companies like First WAP to sell access to them.
So when we hear Anne Wojcicki was tracked 1,500 times, it's not necessarily about her personal security failing. It's the system failing. The phone network she uses that we all use.
Exactly. Her phone was likely behaving perfectly normally. The network itself was betraying her location. That's the core issue.
And the really sobering part is, what can someone actually do about it? If a company like First WAP decides they want to track you using this method.
Honestly, based on how ALTAMIDES works, pretty much nothing.
Nothing. No app, no setting.
Not if they're using SS7 exploits, because the attack, if you can call it that, isn't happening on your phone. It's happening within the network. As long as your phone is on and connected to the mobile network,
it's potentially trackable.
Its location can be queried through these SS7 flaws. You are essentially fair game if someone with enough money buys access to a tool like ALTAMIDES. The only sure way to stop it is to turn your phone off completely.
That's not really a practical solution for most people.
Not at all.
So we're left with a pretty chilling thought then.
I think so. When you consider the global reach First WAP apparently had, The fact these network weaknesses have persisted for so long and the clear willingness of executives to bypass laws, it makes you ask, how do we make sure these incredible systems built to connect us all aren't actually becoming the easiest, most invisible way for hidden actors to watch and potentially control us?
Well, that's a wrap. Hope you liked the episode. Don't miss out on new episodes of You Don't Know, You Don't Know. New episodes every week. Like and subscribe.